Mm,
Americans
yes.
will accept Chinese vehicles. They
What's
will.
that?
Americans will accept Chinese vehicles. Are they gonna be like, yes? Oh, this is
No,
totally
no.
because right
This is
now.
this is what's going to happen. So you're a little young, so you won't remember this. But there used to be this thing called the Japanese invasion, and
Yes.
it happened in the 70s, 80s, that kind of a thing.
With the
And what happened
Datsuns.
was the big OEM said, "Oh, they'll never amount to anything. Let them have the small cars. People are going to want big, giant." Well, guess what? There was an oil embargo, and the Japanese went from zero market share, and they basically gobbled up a huge portion of the American market. Same thing is going to happen with the Chinese. The Chinese are going to show up, and by the way, they make really nice cars. I have I used to, I didn't do anything last year as far as China was concerned, but as a rule, I did. I spent about 3 months a year in China. I was doing a lot of work in China, and I will tell you, every car that I got that was Chinese made. Now it might have been a BMW or whatever, but in essence, it was a Chinese vehicle that was made in China for Chinese market, and it was as good as anybody. Right now, if you talk to different people, they'll tell you different things. But if you have a car that's made in Canada or Mexico, as a rule, it's going to be better than what you made in the United States.
Really?
I don't know why, but the gaps are better and the quality is higher and things like that. Maybe it's because I don't know why. But anyway, there you go. Um, Wait until, but if you buy a Japanese car that's made here in the US, or a Korean car that's made here in the US, or a BMW that's made here in the US, I'll put it up against anybody on the planet. Anybody. It doesn't matter who. So wait until you see the Chinese cars that are going to come swinging in. I'm going to be telling you right now, there won't be funny gaps. There won't be anything where one door panel is green and the other one's blue. None of that stuff is going to happen because they've been trained by the best, and they will be primo kind of vehicles, and people will aspire to them. They will want those cars, and that's kind of like what you're going to see in the very near future.
And
Very near future. I mean, they're going to come in real soon, and a lot sooner than the guys in the ivory towers at the big OEMs are going to be ready for. And by the way, I'm not just talking about U.S. car manufacturers. I'm talking about the Europeans as well. They are going to get shocked, really, really shocked at
yeah.
what's going to be coming in from the Chinese. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
And we won't care that they're Chinese because aren't they kind of like we're not so friendly with them? Like it's a brand new um,
Well, Trump was unfriendly
brand.
with them, but he cost me a lot of money. I did vote for him the first time, but
Yeah.
I didn't vote the second time.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Trump was trying to turn back the hands of time, and you can't do that. Time and tide, they don't work. So if somebody would have, say, done something in the Clinton era about shutting down China, that might have worked then, but you can't do it now.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that said, "Don't wake the sleeping giant," and the sleeping giant is China, and they did. And what do? Now you suffer the consequences. And by the way, they're not going to go away like Japan did when their economy blew up because of a real estate bubble. Um, China can't blow up. There's billions of people there, and they've got tons and tons of backing, and they own all the reserves. Our
Yeah.
biggest problem here in the U.S. is everything's been sold, or we don't do it. So I don't know if you heard, but GM is going to lose about $1 billion this quarter because it can't get chips. Why can't they get chips? Oh, because China ain't selling them.
That's right.
And
It's a
I'm
world
telling you,
shortage. Yeah.
yeah, and then batteries. Okay, what are batteries made out of? Lithium. Uh, where do we get lithium? Not here.
Not here.
And what else do we need? Oh, we need cobalt. We need this. And well, who owns all the mines? Nobody here. That's all Chinese owned.
All Chinese.
I mean,
Even if
quite
it's not in
frankly, we
China, right?
painted ourselves in a corner with raw materials. So
Yeah, and that's why Elon's plan to source the stuff here, the raw materials in the United States, in
yeah,
Nevada or something, is genius, right? I mean, that's the only way that he's gonna probably be able to compete.
yeah. Well, a lot of people like myself included, I feel that Elon is probably going to buy the nickel mine up in Canada, and he's already said I'm going to go and buy lithium clay. Now I'm not familiar with that type of mining. Normally it's open pit mining, but one of the biggest areas for lithium and all kinds of other rare earth materials is basically called the Badlands between Canada and the United States. There's tons of stuff, but we can't refine it. And the reason we can't refine it is because people say, oh, it's bad for the environment. Really? You know, it's bad for the unemployment is bad for the environment.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what we're going to be looking at. If we don't start looking at, you know, sometimes you have to swallow hard on some of these things. And we definitely need to be mining, and we definitely need to be processing, and we definitely need to be creating batteries here with our own materials.
Yeah.
And right now, there's a bunch of countries, not just the United States, that are scrambling around trying to either buy back or capture or expropriate mines and whatnot that are owned by the Chinese.
Yeah. So do you think so? People won't care that these are Chinese brands that are coming in. They'll just see a pretty car and they're gonna be like, I want one.
Hang on a second. What you have to do is you have to remember back. So um, we had just ended a war with the Japanese, and it wasn't a friendly kind of war. I mean, if you ever stayed up really late watching aerial TV, you can see all kinds of John Wayne movies and, you know, bonsai this and shoot guys there. At the end of the day, my dad, he said there was no way that any Japanese car, he's a lot of expletives there, was ever going to come into his property, ever, never.
Okay.
And I remember when I was working as a tool maker, guy drove a Japanese car into our parking lot. So the first thing that happened was somebody took this guy's tools and threw them out into the ditch. Okay, if you're a tool maker, you don't want anybody screwing with your tools. So they threw all his tools in a ditch, and then about 8 of them picked his car up and took it into a vacant lot and left it over there. And you know what? There was a ditch all the way around it. It was very difficult for him to get that car out, and no one would help him. That's kind of like what you had for like animosity. And that was in Canada. That was like, I came from Canada. That's a place where you can get in a lot of trouble by discriminating. A lot of trouble. Like, it's career ending. Thank you.